I saw the moment the noise died. It was like someone hit mute on the whole cafeteria. Forks froze midair, jokes died in throats. Even the vending machine stopped humming. I swear. Jalen Carter, quiet knew. Invisible had just moved, not screamed, not punched, just moved. And Cole Matthews, Golden Boy star quarterback, king of Fair Ridge Prep. He was flat on his back, staring up at the ceiling, like he couldn't believe gravity had betrayed him. People say it looked like magic, but I was there. It wasn't magic, it was control, intent, precision. One moment, Cole was taunting him, grabbing his tray, laughing too loud. The next, bam! Not violent, just final. That's when the whole school realized Jalen wasn't quiet because he was scared. He was quiet because he didn't need to talk. And trust me, nothing was ever the same after that. Jalen Carter's first thought about Fair Ridge Prep was that it looked like a hospital that had forgotten. It was a school. Too clean, too perfect. The floors were so polished they could show you your flaws, and every locker stood in neat, obedient rows like they were scared to step out of line. It was nothing like Carver High back in Atlanta. At Carver, the walls told stories. Graffiti, chalk murals left half-finished and still beautiful. The stairwells echoed with rap battles and sneakers, thudding like heartbeats. That place lived. This place, it waited for you to mess up. His mum had called the move a new chapter. His uncle, who taught him how to throw a jab before he could even spell the word discipline, had said it more plainly. You keep your head low. Jay, you don't give them a reason. Jalen wasn't looking for a reason. He was just trying to find his locker. He moved like someone who knew how to move, shoulders, aligned gaze, steady steps measured. It wasn't arrogance, it was calculation. Every inch of him had been trained to be unnoticed, but you can't always hide when you don't look like everyone else. The first stares didn't linger long, but he felt them, quick glances, whispers tucked between locker slams. That new black kid. Where'd he come from? Is he on the team? He doesn't talk much, huh? He didn't need to answer. Their eyes were already writing their own story. By second period, he'd spotted the ecosystem. The golden circle at the center of it all. Athletes, legacy kids, the ones with Range Rovers in the student lot, and sitting dead center. Cole Matthews, tall. Sculpted blonde, loud. The kind of guy who never had to try to be noticed. He was the sun in every hallway, burning hot, impossible to look at for too long. And he noticed Jalen immediately. Not with curiosity, not with welcome. With that look predators give just before they decide whether you're worth chasing. Jalen had seen it before. On playgrounds, in gyms, in courts, both basketball and legal. He didn't flinch, just kept moving. Cole leaned toward one of his cronies, whispered something, and their laughter echoed down the lockers like it was rehearsed, but Jalen didn't stop, didn't glance. He walked right past them, posture perfect, heart steady. Because the rule his uncle taught him wasn't just about fighting, it was about surviving. Don't show off, don't strike first, but if they touch you, if they try you, you end it. So he walked on silent, measured still. But deep down, he knew it. Cole wasn't laughing for no reason, and he wasn't going to let it go. By the end of the first week, Jalen understood how Fair Ridge worked. It wasn't the kind of place where bullies shoved you into lockers or stole your lunch. No, Fair Ridge was subtler. Here, power wore designer shoes and flashed perfect teeth. Here, humiliation came wrapped in sarcasm and applause. And Cole Matthews. He wasn't just part of that system, he was its architect. It started small. Calculated. A casual shoulder check in the hallway. Watch it, Cole muttered, like Jalen had bumped into him. Jalen didn't respond. Next day in history class, Cole accidentally knocked Jalen's notebook off the desk as he passed by. Oh man, he smirked, not even stopping. Clumsy hands, huh? Clumsy hands. Jalen picked it up slowly. Carefully. His fingers curled just tight enough around the cover, but he said nothing, because it wasn't time. Not yet. Then came the comments. Soft enough to slip under a teacher's radar. Didn't know we were recruiting from downtown now. You play ball. Carter, you people usually do. Man, you're quiet. Thought y'all were the funny type. Cole never said it loud, just loud enough. And the others? Some laughed, most didn't, but no one said anything either. The silence felt louder than the slurs. Jalen could feel the heat rise in his chest sometimes. His uncle's voice would echo in his mind. You don't fight angry, you fight ready. So he waited. He'd fought before, just not like this. Not with words designed to cut just below the skin, not with a smile behind every insult. And that's what made it harder. Because in a place like Fairridge, Cole wasn't the villain. He was the MVP, the student council's favorite son, the kid whose dad paid for the new gym scoreboard, Jalen. He was the outsider. No legacy, no spotlight, just silence and patience. But Cole kept pushing, testing, prodding for a reaction. It was never about Jalen's size or strength. Cole wasn't stupid. He could sense something in the way Jalen carried himself. The stillness. The calm. It didn't sit right with him. He wanted to crack it. Because guys like Cole didn't like not being the center of the room, and Jalen's silence was too loud. One afternoon, in the locker-lined corridor outside English, Cole leaned in close. You know what your problem is, he said. You walk around like you're better than everyone, but nobody even knows your name. Jalen met his eyes, calm, unflinching. You just said it, he replied. It was the first time he'd spoken back. Cole's smirk faltered, only for a second, but it was enough. It happened on a Friday. Lunchroom noise was its usual messy orchestra trays, clattering soda, fizzing laughter, bouncing off walls. Jalen had found his corner near the back, same as always, quiet routine. Until the shadow fell across his table. Cole. With him, Bryce and Evan, his loyal orbiters, always a step behind, always laughing on cue. Jalen didn't look up, just kept eating. Chicken nuggets, apple milk, carton, one bite at a time, measured calm. Cole leaned in loud enough for nearby tables to catch every word. Yo, Carter, you ever talk or you just mute by design? No answer. Cole grabbed the apple from Jalen's tray and tossed it across the room. It thudded near the trash bins. Someone laughed. A few turned to watch. Jalen set his fork down. Slowly, Cole smiled. Victory in his eyes. He wasn't expecting a fight. He was expecting a flinch. So he shoved him. Hard. The metal legs of the cafeteria chair screeched as Jalen leaned back but didn't fall. Silence rippled outward like a dropped stone in still water. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Heads turned. Come on, Cole barked. Do something. Jalen stood. No hurry, no fire in his eyes. Just breath, steady, deep. He didn't posture, he didn't square up. He moved. One smooth step forward. One turn of the wrist, one lock of the elbow, and Cole Matthews hit the floor. Hard. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, it wasn't what anyone expected. It was clean, efficient. Like pulling a chair out from under someone. 1 second, Cole was standing, grinning, towering. The next, flat, confused breath, knocked out, eyes wide. Gasps. Then silence. Bryce and Evan froze. Jalen crouched beside Cole, voice low, clear. Don't touch me again. No threat, no growl, just gravity. He stood, brushed off his hands, picked up his tray like nothing had happened, and walked away. The silence broke like a dam. Whispers flooded the room. Did you see Yo? What was that move? Did he even punch him? Bro, he just dropped him. Someone had filmed it. Of course they had. Half the school would have seen it by 7th period. But Jalen wasn't thinking about that. He wasn't thinking about revenge or triumph or fame. He was thinking about how his uncle's voice had never once lied to him. Control, always control. By 7th period, the story wasn't just echoing through Fairridge Prep, it was vibrating through its bones. They weren't calling it a fight, they were calling it a moment. Yo, Jalen Carter folded Cole like laundry. Nah, bro, didn't even try. He just snapped. Phones buzzed, DMs flew. The video was everywhere, looped, clipped, slowed down. The way Jalen stood, the precision of the move, the way he didn't even look back. It wasn't just impressive, it was mythic. Jalen walked the halls differently after that, not because he changed, because they did. Freshmen parted when they saw him coming. Juniors nodded like he'd earned some secret badge. A senior even dapped him up outside chemistry and whispered, "Respect, man, that was art." But it wasn't respect. Not really, it was fascination. Or fear dressed as admiration. To them, he wasn't Jalen Carter anymore. He was the kid who dropped Cole. A viral moment in a hoodie, a story to retell at parties. And Jalen hated it. He hadn't done it to make a point. He hadn't done it to rise in the social food chain. He'd done it because Cole touched him, and you don't let that slide. He thought that was it. Until Sierra Vega sat across from him at lunch. She didn't look impressed. She looked concerned. "You know you didn't just beat him, right?" she said. "You embarrassed him in front of everyone, his friends, his girl, his dad." Jalen took a slow sip of his milk. He started it. Sierra tilted her head. "Yeah, but Cole's dad, he finishes things." Jalen met her eyes. Steady flat. "You think I'm scared of him?" "No," she said, "but maybe you should be." She stood, tossed her tray, walked away without waiting for a response. And for the first time since the lunchroom flipped, something coiled tight in Jalen's chest. It wasn't anger, it was instinct. The feeling you get when the wind shifts just before a storm. That night, a message lit up his phone. Unknown. "You think that made you tough? You got lucky. Watch your back." Jalen stared at the screen for a long time before locking it. No panic, no reply. But he knew this wasn't over. Because in places like Fairridge, the punch isn't what gets you punished. It's the perception. And when a black kid puts the golden boy on the floor, even with control, even without aggression, it becomes a threat. And threats, they get silence. By Monday morning, Fairridge didn't just feel different, it felt rigged. Jalen could sense it the moment he stepped through the front doors. The way conversations clipped short when he passed. The way teachers looked at him just a second too long, like someone had whispered something behind every closed door. He didn't need to guess. Cole's dad, Gregory Matthews, sat on the school board donated to the library, shook hands at fundraisers, and now he had a narrative: violent transfer student attacks, local hero. No mention of the weeks of provocation. No context. Just a grainy screenshot pulled from a video stripped of everything but the fall. The school summoned Jalen to the office. Not for a hearing, just a chat. The principal wore a tight smile and said words like concerns, community values, and appropriate consequences. No questions. No real interest in the truth. Just pressure wrapped in pleasantries. Jalen didn't argue. He just listened, then he walked out and started planning. That night, he and Sierra met at a coffee shop 2 blocks from campus. She brought her laptop, he brought the receipts. Screenshots of the text messages. The full uncut video capturing Cole's shove, the tossed apple, the crowd, testimonies from students who had seen it all and were ready to speak. Even a saved voice memo. Cole mocking Jalen near the gym caught mid-whisper. Sierra leaned back in her chair. Eyes wide. "This is gold. You sure you want to use it?" Jalen nodded. "They want to play dirty. We don't stoop. We expose." Tuesday morning, they walked into the principal's office. Jalen, Sierra, and 2 more students who had kept quiet until now. They didn't come to beg. They came with evidence. And when they laid it out piece by piece, frame by frame, the tight smile faded fast. The principal didn't look at Jalen like a problem anymore. He looked like he'd just stepped on a landmine. Gregory Matthews made calls, sent emails, tried to spin the story. But the truth was too loud. The footage made it online. Not the edited clip, the real one. Students shared it, parents watched it. Even a few teachers commented anonymously under a student-run post. This was never about violence, it was about power. Cole didn't return to school that week. When he finally did, something had changed. The swagger had dimmed, the smirk was gone. He didn't look at Jalen anymore. He barely looked at anyone. But Jalen didn't celebrate. He didn't strut. He just showed up, did the work, and stayed silent. Because for him, the win wasn't in making Cole fall. It was in standing tall without lowering himself. And Fairridge. It had seen enough to remember. Cole came back on a Thursday. No announcement. No drama. Just appeared. Same backpack, same sneakers, but the shine was gone. He didn't walk through the halls like he owned them anymore. He kept his head down, his voice low, his jokes quiet. The air around him wasn't charged, it was heavy. Jalen noticed, but didn't react. They crossed paths once by the stairwell. Cole looked up for half a second, then looked away. No words, no standoff. Just a silent understanding between two people who had already said everything that needed saying. Jalen didn't feel proud, didn't feel victorious. He felt relieved. Not because he'd won, but because he didn't have to look over his shoulder anymore. Because maybe, just maybe, the message had landed. He wasn't here to play games. He wasn't here to prove anything. He just wanted peace. And sometimes, the only way to earn peace is to stand firm through the storm. Later that week, Sierra found him in the library. She sat across from him, her voice barely above a whisper. You know, I think he finally got it. Jalen closed his book. Met her gaze. Calm. Some people only learn, he said, when you stop walking away. She smiled. Nothing else needed to be said. If you've ever felt like the only way to be seen was to fight for your space, if you've ever been forced to prove your worth just to exist, you're not alone. Subscribe for more stories that matter. And if this one hit home, tell us why in the comments. We're listening.